Hey everybody, on R&B Reviews we're going to do our top 10 lists of what we thought were the best films of 2009. And we've been looking over them and we got a few similar films, but have a few differences as well. So, alright Brendan, are you ready for the countdown?
Let's start it.
Okay, let's start with my top number 10 pick. Number 10 on my list is Extract from director Mike Judge. This funny, subtle film I felt was overlooked at the box office, and it was well written with relatable situations that were not based on just over-the-top gags. And Judge has a great gift with making real life funny. Now the cast included Jason Bateman and Ben Affleck, who I thought were very funny, and many scenes ended with some really great punchlines. I was really disappointed that it didn't do better. I mean, I read on message boards that people were walking out or just didn't get it. Were the jokes too subtle and not overdone to death? I don't know. But I hope that people check this film out on DVD because I thought it was very funny and great.
Okay, my number 10 pick this year is obviously one that's not going to get a lot of great comments, but Boondock Saints 2. I normally am not a huge fan of action movies these days, let alone sequels. But this movie was made just for the fans of the original, and it exactly just paid off in every single way the fans wanted the sequel to pay off in. I took a couple friends of mine who are also fans of the first one, and they enjoyed it as much as I did. We went out of the theater laughing and having a good time and quoting the movie, and to me that's a sign of a great flick, and you're probably not going to see it on any other top 10 lists. I had a tough time putting it on here, but Boondock Saints 2 was everything this Boondock Saints fan wanted to see in a sequel.
Alright, my number 9 pick comes from a film that came out very early in 2009. It is Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood as Korean vet Walter Kowalski, who is not crazy about where his life is at and his hum among neighbors next door. Now, what I liked about Eastwood's character is that he is blunt about people's stupidity and he's not afraid to speak out. It kind of reminds me of the people's older relatives that sometimes show up at family get-togethers and such. Now, I wish we could see more of these types of characters like that, but I think Hollywood is just too scared that they're going to offend somebody. Now, with this film, I liked the comparison between Walt's 1950s traditional American culture versus his Hmong neighbors next door and their traditional culture. I thought the film was funny, and Eastwood really owned the film. It seemed like with these scenes, he was at the center of attention, and the scenes that were without him just weren't as interesting. People might be offended by Walt's attitude, but the film is not about racism. It is about friendship between Walt and the boy next door with nice dialogue, storyline, and characters that I was rooting for.
Now, my number 9 pick is the film Moon. This movie I bought on a blind buy on DVD. I'd only heard good things about it, and frankly, it was just a terrific film. It was everything I didn't expect from it. Luckily, 2009 saw some great science fiction, but Moon is without a doubt one of the best science fiction movies to come out of it. Sam Rockwell playing the main character just gives one of his best performances, or performances, period. Folks will know why I put that plural. But it's definitely one to look up on DVD. It didn't get a wide release, so definitely hunt down Moon. It's every bit as good as Avatar and District 9.
Number 8 is Star Trek. Now, this was a fun blockbuster from director J.J. Abrams, and I felt involved with the action scenes, and the cast did a terrific job at taking on the legendary characters from the TV show and the film franchise. The visual effects were top-notch, and I was not distracted, and I felt like I was seeing real, existing things. Now, Star Trek shows that the film does not have to be all about the special effects, where there is an interesting story despite a not really interesting villain. Now, you don't have to be a Star Trek fan to see it. I don't think that newcomers will get lost with it.
For my number 8 spot, I have 2 movies. I couldn't decide which one to put at number 8, but 500 Days of Summer and Away We Go. Away We Go I just saw on DVD, as well as I just rewatched 500 Days of Summer. Both movies are romantic comedies, but very different. Whereas Away We Go is a little more dramatic, and 500 Days of Summer is a little more lighthearted, but both movies put down a very important message about just human beings in general. And both films I felt were really feel-good flicks, and Away We Go I thought offered a little more drama than 500 Days, but both of them are worth looking up.
When I first saw the trailer for The Hangover, I was skeptical about it because it looked like it was going to be like those other films with over-the-top, gross-out gags. And it is, but unlike those other films, I thought it was funny, entertaining, and it worked. Now, I thought it was sharply written, and it didn't feel like the gags were repetitive, which I see in a lot of recent comedies where the gags are practically milked to death. I felt very involved in the story, especially with the mystery as the lead characters try to find their missing friend in Vegas. A plus to the film was having character actors rather than big name stars I thought helped make the lead characters more believable. The actors, I thought, worked very well together and made the film a good time for me.
Number 7 is District 9. This movie would be higher up on my list, but I rewatched it, and it's still a great flick. It just wasn't as great as the initial surprise. It was one of those movies I knew nothing about. You go into it not knowing anything, and then I ended up being completely surprised. It was a terrific kind of man-on-the-run type of story, not to mention the special effects were amazing. Let me tell you, you don't need $100 million to make a great science fiction movie, James Cameron or Michael Bay. District 9 did it with $30 million, and they did it perfectly. They told a great story with great meaningful effects that I thought got its point across way better than Avatar or like Transformers did.
Number 6 is Where the Wild Things Are. This film was one of the many films that came out last year that seemed to split people. People thought it was going to be like a children's film for the family, but it became something a little more than that. Where the Wild Things Are what made the picture rich for me was that each of the wild things have their own characteristics and developed personalities with their own problems. And Max Records, who plays Max, did an excellent job bringing out the emotions required for director Spike Jonze' interpretation of that character. He brings out anger, sadness, and the wild things. I'll admit, the film itself can be a little bit depressing, and it's not really a kid's film, but I think over time the film's reputation will get better, and who knows, maybe it will become a classic.
Number 6 is Extract, Mike Judge's recent forte back into filmmaking. It was a terrific movie. I rewatched it as recently as yesterday. It's hilarious. I think it's without a doubt the best comedy to come out of 2009, or one of the best comedies to come out of 2009. But the film just really surprised me. It was Mike Judge's sense of humor all the way. If you enjoy stuff like King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead, Extract would just fall right in there. It's just one of those comedies that really you're not expecting it to be as funny, or the previews did a bad job showing what the movie was about. Period. I was pleasantly surprised, but it's definitely worth looking up on the DVD shelves.
Well, Brendan, it looks like our 10 minutes are up. It looks like we're going to have to do a part 2 to our countdown. Okay, so stick around and watch our part 2 as we continue on our top 10 list of the best movies of 2009.